Okay, so we're back, and I have a homemade smoke machine, um, and I've got it hooked up into the spark plug hole. And unfortunately, we have smoke coming out both exhaust ports, so it's getting past the exhaust valves. Nothing coming out the intake, but so I'm going to demonstrate this for you guys. Hopefully you can see it. There's a fair amount of smoke. So yep. So there it is, coming out both exhaust ports. So more than likely it has bent both exhaust valves because they're obviously not seating properly. Even if they're not bent, they're not seating properly. So they need to be. The head's probably going to have to come off and get that taken care of. So yeah, I'm going to contact the customer and then probably be pulling the head off. And once I get the exhaust valves out, if they're visibly bent, then I'll bring you guys back in here and have a look at that. So that's all for now. Okay, we're back on the 650 Honda. It's a 2000 model. So I had thought that the exhaust valves would possibly be bent. I've taken them out, discovered they were not bent. The customer got lucky on that end of it. So yeah, they turned out to be fine. So I went ahead and got some lapping compound and reseated them. They just had a lot of gunk on them. That's why there was smoke coming through them. They had a lot of carbon buildup. The intake valve did too. So I cleaned them, reseated them, and so now I got a kit, an upper end kit for this thing, which includes, well, I've already got it on here, a head gasket and various O-rings. This one goes behind the intake boot, and this little O-ring here goes on this timing chain metal insert that goes through the head, where it goes through the head. Exhaust gaskets, got new ones of those, and then it also has 4 larger O-rings, and they go in the big covers that screw into the top of the valve covers that you access the rocker arms to adjust the valve split. And anyway, so all that's going to get replaced. So I'll say hello to Nick. So I have where the cam is going in, I have that with the assembly lube in where the bearings ride. And so it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 bolts that hold the cylinder head on, and they're going to get torqued down to, I believe the book said, between 26 and 31 foot-pounds. It's a pretty good range, but we're going to go toward the upper end of that on this one. Anyway, so I'll be having to fish the timing chain up through this section of the head. I already have my head gasket installed, as I mentioned earlier, with the dowel pins that go in there. I have a string tied onto my timing chain. Hopefully that'll help me. Okay. So, got it seated down on there. Those two dowel pins have to be lined up perfectly, so the key is don't force it. We've got our timing chain there. I think what I will do is get my head bolts started now. And the book said to put some oil on the threads of these, and also on the washers where they ride on the cylinder head. So we have, I think I told you 4 of these, and a couple of them are different lengths. It's kind of easy to tell which ones go where, because you can tell these 2 are recessed deeper into the head, so usually a good rule of thumb is that the longer ones are going to be where it is higher, the recess is higher. It is extremely hot here in north central Arkansas today. I believe they said the heat index was going to be well over 100. And there's one short bolt that has a big thick washer on it, and it's obviously dirtier than the rest of them. It goes right below where the spark plug goes in, and it's actually on the outside of the cylinder head. But we're going to treat it. And one other thing I want to mention on the cylinder head is there's 3 pieces, 2 of these little sleeves, and I'm not sure, I should have looked up what their purpose is. I think they might have something to do with oil in the cam, but there's 2 of them, one on each end, and then there's also this smaller sleeve that has a spring on the end of it, just like that. It goes in that hole right there next to the timing chain. It springs up and down, obviously, with the spring. So anyway, I'm going to pause this for a second. I'll get these bolts ran down and start this torque sequence on them. Kelly. Okay, so I have these head bolts tightened down, snug down. I'm going to start the torque sequence on them. So I forgot to add earlier, so when I done this head, this job, I did put new valve stem seals. They came with that kit, so it has new stem seals in it. Anytime I'm tightening down a head, no matter what the guidance is, I never tighten them you know, all the way to the first pass. So I've just got these, you know, barely snug them down, and I just work my way around on that one. So I'll just barely feel some resistance on it, right? Just work your way around. And that's just so you don't tighten it, you know, unevenly. So I'll start with the center two and crisscross on the 4 that's on the outside. Second one, you notice I'm not clicking my torque wrench yet. And diagonal on that, and drop down to this one. Come back over to this one. Okay. Check my gaps, everything looks good. You just mainly want to look and make sure that you haven't got anything pinched between the head and the jug. That's your main concern at this point. Okay. Here's the first clip. And that one. Went down to this one. Over to the other side. And then drop down. And drop back over. Okay, there we go. So that is about 30 foot-pounds. Go back and double check, make sure they're all good. Alright, so there's, I think, 3 more little tins on the side here. I can get them later. There's no no way really to torque these. On tins, I normally just snug them down and then go quarter, half turn, something like that. Okay, so I will jump out of here, get this cam set up to go on, and the next thing will be the timing chain tensioner. So I'll be right back.